A singing champion walked into the spotlight that night with no idea she was about to challenge Elvis Presley. The crowd booed him. They laughed at him. They had no clue what was coming. Memphis, Tennessee, April 1956. The annual Mid-South Music Festival at Ellis Auditorium. 5,000 people packed into wooden seats, the air thick with cigarette smoke and anticipation. This wasn't just another talent show. This was the event where careers were made, where unknowns became somebodies, where the best singers in the South came to prove themselves. Standing center stage under harsh spotlights was Linda Mae Carson, 23 years old, undefeated singing champion. She'd won every competition she'd entered for the past 4 years. 17 consecutive victories across Tennessee, Mississippi, and Arkansas. Not one loss, not even close. Her voice was pure, powerful, technically flawless. Trained since childhood by her mother, a former opera singer who'd given up her own career to raise a family. Linda Mae wore a powder blue dress, pearls, hair perfectly styled. She looked like she belonged on a magazine cover, and she sang like an angel. Classical training meets Southern gospel meets popular standards. She could do it all. The judges loved her. The audiences loved her. Other singers feared her. Tonight was supposed to be different. The festival organizers wanted to try something new. Instead of the standard competition format, they'd arranged a special exhibition. Linda Mae would select a volunteer from the audience. Anyone. They'd perform a duet together. No preparation, no rehearsal. Pure spontaneous musicianship. The idea was to showcase Linda Mae's versatility, her ability to harmonize with anyone, her complete mastery of vocal technique. She stood at the microphone confident, poised. The announcer, a portly man in a checkered suit, explained the format to the crowd. Miss Carson will choose someone from the audience at random. They'll perform together, a true test of talent and adaptability. The crowd murmured with excitement. This was unprecedented. Champions didn't perform with random audience members. Too risky. What if the person couldn't sing? What if they embarrassed her? What if something went wrong? But Linda Mae had insisted on this format. She was tired of people saying her victories only counted because she competed against other trained singers. Tired of hearing whispers that she couldn't adapt, couldn't improvise, couldn't handle the unexpected. Tonight would silence those doubts forever. She stepped off the stage, walked down the center aisle, eyes scanning the crowd. People avoided her gaze. Nobody wanted to be chosen. Nobody wanted to stand next to the undefeated champion and risk public humiliation. She moved slowly, deliberately, looking for someone. But she wasn't sure what she was looking for. Just walking, trusting instinct. The front rows held local dignitaries, wealthy patrons, music industry people in suits, too formal, too predictable. She moved deeper into the auditorium. Middle sections filled with families, couples, regular folks who'd paid good money for tickets. Still not right. Something felt off. Then she saw him. Back row, corner seat. A young man, maybe 21, wearing simple clothes, dark pants, white shirt, dark jacket, hair slicked back with too much grease. He sat alone, not talking to anyone, just watching quietly. Different from everyone around him. Something about him caught her attention. Can't explain it. Just felt right. She pointed directly at him. "You, come on down." The crowd turned to look. The young man didn't react immediately, just sat there, calm. People near him started whispering, nudging him. "She picked you. Go on, stand up." He hesitated, then slowly rose from his seat. That's when people got their first clear look at him. He was a nobody, just some kid, skinny, average height. Nothing special about him, no indication he could sing, no fancy clothes, no confident stage presence. Just an ordinary young man who'd wandered into the wrong place at the wrong time. The crowd's reaction was instant. First confusion, then amusement, then outright laughter. This was who the undefeated champion chose? This nobody? People started making jokes, calling out comments. Some felt bad for him. Poor guy was about to embarrass himself in front of 5,000 people. About to become a cautionary tale. About to be added to Linda May's list of conquered opponents. The music journalists in the press section loved this. They scribbled notes frantically. Perfect story. Undefeated female champion about to show up some random audience member. The angle writes itself. Girl power. Talent versus luck. Professional versus amateur. Linda May didn't understand the laughter. She'd chosen randomly. Appearance didn't matter. Stage presence didn't matter. She'd harmonize with anyone, make them sound good, prove her versatility. That was the whole point. She gestured for him to come forward. The young man started walking down the aisle, moving easily, unhurried, not nervous, just walking. As he descended, the laughter intensified. People calling out, making jokes, some trying to be encouraging, but most just amused by the spectacle. He reached the stage, climbed the steps, stood under the lights. Now everyone could see him clearly, plain clothes, nervous smile, hands in pockets. He looked completely out of place, like he'd accidentally walked into a professional music competition instead of a movie theater. The announcer approached with the microphone. "Son, what's your name?" The young man took the microphone. His voice was quiet, southern accent, thick but clear. "Elvis Presley." Nobody reacted. The name meant absolutely nothing. Just another southern boy. Another nobody. The crowd waited for what came next, already convinced this would be entertaining for all the wrong reasons. The announcer cleared his throat. "Have you ever performed professionally?" "No, sir." "Ever taken singing lessons?" "No, sir. Just sing in church sometimes." The laughter grew louder. "Church." "Of course. Every Southern boy sang in church. That didn't make you special. That didn't make you a performer." The announcer looked at Linda May. She nodded. Confident. Ready. This wouldn't take long. "All right then. Miss Linda May will sing the opening verse. You'll join in when you feel comfortable. Try to match her tone, her pitch, her phrasing. Do your best." Elvis nodded, hands still in pockets, that nervous smile still fixed on his face. Linda May took her position at center stage. The bandleader counted off. 4 beats. The music started. Slow, romantic. A ballad Linda May had performed 100 times. Her voice came in strong, clear, professional. Perfect pitch, perfect phrasing, perfect everything. She sang the first verse alone, establishing the melody, setting the standard. This was how it should sound. This was the level required. The audience listened, appreciating her skill, already feeling sorry for the kid who'd have to follow that. Then Elvis stepped forward. He didn't wait for an invitation, didn't wait for a cue, just moved into position beside Linda May and started singing the second verse. His voice came out different than anyone expected. Not trained, not polished, but something else entirely. Raw, emotional, real. The kind of voice that didn't come from lessons, came from somewhere deeper, somewhere you couldn't teach. Linda May's eyes widened slightly. She kept singing, kept her professional composure, but something had shifted. This wasn't what she'd anticipated. This kid didn't sound like the amateurs she usually partnered with. He sounded dangerous. Elvis leaned into the microphone, eyes closed now, completely absorbed in the song. His voice found harmonies Linda May hadn't heard before. Natural harmonies, instinctive choices that made the song feel new, made it feel alive in a way it hadn't been moments earlier. The laughter in the audience stopped. People leaned forward. What was happening? This wasn't supposed to be good. This was supposed to be embarrassing, a cautionary tale. But this kid, this nobody from the back row, was doing something unexpected. Linda May adjusted her approach, started adding embellishments to her vocal lines, little flourishes that showcased her technical training, professional tricks designed to outshine her partner. Elvis didn't compete, didn't try to match her technique for technique, just kept singing his way. Simple, honest, direct, and somehow it worked better. The bandleader's eyes widened. He'd conducted for Linda May dozens of times, knew her style intimately, but this combination, this blend of her polished professionalism with this kid's raw emotion, created something neither voice could achieve alone. The musicians started playing differently, adding little touches they wouldn't normally include, responding to what they heard. In the press section, journalists stopped writing jokes, started writing seriously, taking notes. This wasn't the story they'd expected. This was something else, something worth documenting properly. Elvis opened his eyes during the bridge, looked directly at Linda May. She looked back. In that moment, a conversation happened without words. Professional recognizing talent, champion acknowledging threat. She'd spent 3 years proving she was untouchable, 3 years demolishing every challenger. And now, this truck driver from nowhere was making her work. Really work. They hit the final chorus together. Linda May pulled out everything. Every technique she'd perfected over years of training, every trick that had won her those 78 consecutive victories. Elvis didn't try to match her pyrotechnics, just sang the melody straight. Let his natural tone carry the emotion. Let the song speak for itself. The contrast was devastating. Her technical mastery against his emotional authenticity. Her years of training against his natural gift. Her professional polish against his raw honesty. The audience didn't know which was better. Didn't know who was winning. Just knew they were witnessing something rare. The song ended. Final note held. Linda May's voice strong and controlled to the last second. Elvis's voice fading naturally, organically, the way a real emotion fades when the moment passes. Silence. 5,000 people holding their breath. Nobody knew how to react. This wasn't a competition. Wasn't a demonstration of superiority. Was something different entirely. Then one person started clapping, then another. Then the entire auditorium erupted. Not polite applause, real applause. Standing ovation. People on their feet, shouting, whistling. The response was so overwhelming that Linda May actually stepped back, surprised. She'd received standing ovations before, but never like this. Never with this intensity. Elvis stood there, hands back in pockets, looking confused. He'd just sung a song, done what he was told. Why was everyone reacting this way? The announcer rushed back onto stage, grabbed the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, Elvis Presley." The crowd roared louder. Elvis gave an awkward little wave, still didn't understand what was happening. Linda May approached him, extended her hand. Elvis shook it. She leaned in, whispered something only he could hear. The microphone didn't pick it up, but people in the front row saw her expression, saw respect there, maybe something else. Recognition, understanding. Whatever she said made Elvis's nervous smile turn into something real. The announcer tried to regain control. "Well, that was certainly unexpected. Miss Linda May, your thoughts?" She took the microphone. Her voice was steady, professional, but something had changed in her tone. "That young man has a gift, a real gift. Where did you say you were from?" "Tupelo originally," Elvis said. "Living in Memphis now. Driving trucks." The announcer seized on that. "Driving trucks? So music is just a hobby?" Elvis shrugged. "I like singing. Don't know if it's a hobby or what. Just something I do." Linda May watched him with an expression nobody in that auditorium could quite read. Not anger, not dismissal. Something closer to calculation. Like she was solving a problem in real time. The announcer filled the awkward silence. "Well, perhaps we should move on to our next performer." Linda May held up her hand. "Not yet." She turned to the audience. "How many of you think this young man should pursue music professionally?" The response was immediate, overwhelming. Hands shooting up, voices calling out. Yes, absolutely. More than half the auditorium. And how many think he should stick to driving trucks? Scattered hands? Maybe 20 people. Mostly the older judges who looked uncomfortable with what they'd just witnessed. Linda May smiled. Democracy has spoken. Then she did something that changed everything. She walked over to Bob Neal, the program coordinator, whispered something in his ear. Neal's eyes widened. "Are you serious?" "Completely serious." Neal nodded slowly, walked to the announcer, whispered to him. The announcer cleared his throat. "Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Linda May has made a request. She would like to perform one more song with Mr. Presley, if he's willing." Elvis looked confused. "Ma'am, I already sang. Don't want to take up more time. You're not taking anything. I'm offering." "There's a difference." The audience erupted again. This was unprecedented. Linda May Johnson didn't perform duets with amateurs, didn't collaborate with unknowns, didn't share her spotlight. "What song?" Elvis asked. "Your choice." Elvis thought for a moment, then said something that made Linda May actually laugh. "Old Shep." The audience groaned. Old Shep was a tragedy, a song about a boy and his dying dog. Not exactly crowd-pleasing material, definitely not romantic duet territory. "You want to make 5,000 people cry?" Linda May asked. "Just like the song," Elvis said. "Always have." Linda May looked at the musicians. "You know Old Shep?" They nodded. Everyone knew Old Shep. Wasn't complicated, just heartbreaking. The piano started, slow, gentle, setting the mood. Elvis began singing first verse, story of a boy and his faithful dog. Simple melody, straightforward delivery, nothing fancy. Linda May joined on the second verse, her voice providing harmony that somehow made the story more real, more immediate. What happened next became the stuff of Memphis legend. They weren't competing anymore, weren't trying to outdo each other, were just telling a story together. Elvis handling the narrative verses, Linda May providing emotional texture underneath. When they reached the part where the dog dies, Elvis's voice cracked. Not artificially, not performed, just genuine emotion bleeding through. Linda May heard it, responded by pulling back her own volume, giving him space, supporting rather than overwhelming. The audience was dead silent. You could hear people breathing, hear the ventilation system, hear someone in the back row trying not to cry. They finished together. Final note held, then fading. A natural ending. Nobody applauded immediately. The silence stretched 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15. Then someone started clapping, slowly. Others joined, building gradually. This wasn't the explosive response from earlier. Was something different, deeper, more respectful. Linda May turned to Elvis. That was special. Just a song about a dog, Elvis said. No. That was about understanding loss, about expressing emotion honestly, about not being afraid to let people see you feel something real. She addressed the audience one more time. I've been singing professionally for 8 years, won 78 consecutive competitions, performed with the best musicians in the South. And I just learned something from a 19-year-old truck driver. She paused. Let that sink in. I learned that technique without emotion is just noise. That polish without authenticity is just performance. That you can do everything right and still miss the entire point of why music matters. Elvis looked uncomfortable. All the attention focused on him again. Linda May wasn't finished. This young man has something that can't be taught, can't be trained, can't be developed through practice. He has a direct line to human emotion, and if he's smart, if he's willing to work, if he doesn't let anyone convince him to sound like everyone else, he's gonna change music. The judges were scribbling notes furiously. The journalists in the press section were writing fast. This was the story. Not just the performance, the endorsement. Linda May Johnson, reigning champion, essentially passing the torch to an unknown truck driver. Bob Neal approached the stage. Miss Johnson, we need to move on. We're running behind schedule. Of course. Linda May turned to Elvis one last time. Don't drive trucks forever. You're wasting something important. Need to make money somehow, Elvis said. Then make money with music. She glanced at Bob Neal. I'm sure Mr. Neal here would be interested in managing someone with your potential. Neal looked startled, but didn't disagree. Elvis walked off stage in a daze. Returned to his seat next to his mama. Gladys grabbed his hand. Squeezed tight. Baby, that was beautiful. She liked old Shep, Elvis said. Seemed like the right choice. On stage, Linda May prepared for her final scheduled performance. But something had changed. The audience was different now. Less focused on her technical mastery, more curious about what she'd do next after endorsing an amateur. She sang flawlessly, hit every note, demonstrated why she'd won 78 consecutive competitions. But everyone was thinking about Elvis. After the show ended, after the final performers finished, after the judges tallied their scores, Bob Neal found Elvis in the parking lot. Your mama still here? Inside talking to some folks? Good. I want to talk to both of you. About management, about opportunities, about what comes next. Elvis hesitated. Don't know if I'm ready for anything professional. Neal smiled. Nobody's ever ready. That's why you need someone who knows the business, someone who can open doors, someone who believes you're worth the investment. Why would you believe that? Just heard me sing twice. I heard Linda Mae Johnson tell 5,000 people you're going to change music. She doesn't say things she doesn't mean. And I've known her 8 years. Bob Neal wasn't supposed to be at the competition that day. Had 3 other meetings scheduled. Canceled all of them after hearing rumors about some truck driver making people cry with a song about a dead dog. Sounded ridiculous. Sounded like exactly the kind of authentic moment he'd been searching for. Elvis stood in the parking lot. Mama inside, Bob Neal asking questions he didn't have answers for. What happens next felt impossible to predict. You sing anywhere regularly? Neal asked. Church sometimes. Mama's friends' houses. That's it? Elvis shrugged. Haven't had much time. Work takes up most days. Neal studied him. 19 years old. No professional experience, no connections, no understanding of how the music business worked. But Linda Mae Johnson just told 5,000 people he'd change everything. She'd staked her reputation on it. Your mama know you can sing like that? She's the one taught me to feel music instead of just hearing it. Smart woman. Best woman I know. Neal pulled out a business card. Simple. Just his name and phone number. Nothing fancy. I manage a few artists. Book shows. Handle contracts. Connect people with opportunities. You interested in that kind of arrangement? Elvis took the card. Looked at it like it might disappear. Don't know if I can afford a manager, Neal laughed. Not sharp. Genuine. You don't pay me. I take a percentage of what you earn. You make nothing. I make nothing. You make something. We both do. What percentage? 15% standard. But we can discuss details if you're serious. Serious about what, exactly? About music being more than something you do on weekends. Elvis pocketed the card. Need to think about it. Talk to Mama. Fair enough. But think fast. Linda Mae just put you on everyone's radar. Other managers will come calling. Some good, some not. Some will promise you the world and deliver nothing. How do I know you're different? You don't. That's why you talk to people, ask around, find out who I've worked with, what I've delivered, then decide if you trust me. Gladys emerged from the building, saw Elvis talking to a stranger. Her expression shifted. Protective. She'd spent 19 years keeping her boy safe. Wasn't about to let some smooth-talking businessman change that. Mama, this is Bob Neal. He manages singers. Gladys offered her hand. Firm handshake. Eye contact that said she'd end anyone who hurt her son. Mr. Neal. Mrs. Presley. Your son has remarkable talent. I know. Linda Mae Johnson thinks he could be something special. Linda Mae's a smart woman. Neal smiled. Clearly Gladys wasn't impressed by titles or reputations. Good. That meant Elvis had someone watching his back. I'd like to talk about representation, about opportunities, about what Elvis could do if he had proper support. What kind of opportunities? Radio appearances, local shows, maybe recording sessions if we can find the right fit. Gladys looked at Elvis. He's got a job, good job, steady pay. I understand, and I'm not suggesting he quit tomorrow. But talent like this doesn't wait forever. Someone's going to sign him. Question is whether it'll be someone who cares about his future or just wants to make quick money off him. The parking lot was emptying. Competitors leaving, families heading home. Inside the building, workers were breaking down the stage. The competition was over, but something else was beginning. You got other clients? Gladys asked. Several. Country singers mostly. Some gospel groups. They successful, define successful. Making money, building careers, not getting cheated. Then yes, I've got 3 artists charting regionally. 2 just signed recording contracts. 1's touring with a major act next month. Gladys considered this. Elvis said nothing, just watched his mama process information. She'd always been the decision maker, the one who saw through nonsense, the one who protected what mattered. We'll think about it, Gladys said finally. Of course. Neil handed her a card too. Call anytime, day or night. I'm serious about this. Why? Gladys asked. You heard him sing twice. Could be luck. Could be a fluke. Could be. But Linda May doesn't make mistakes about talent. And I've been doing this long enough to recognize something real when I hear it. What's real about it? He doesn't sound like anyone else. Doesn't try to. That's rare. Most singers want to copy whoever's popular. Your son just wants to express what he feels. That's the foundation everything else builds on. Elvis finally spoke. What would I have to do? Neil turned to him. First, keep being yourself. Don't let anyone change what makes you different. Second, we'd start small. Local radio, small venues. Build experience, build confidence, build an audience. Third, we'd record some demos. Nothing fancy. Just capture what you do so we can shop it around. Shop it where? Record labels, radio stations, anyone looking for new talent. And if nobody wants it, then we try again. Different songs, different approach. But we don't give up just because the first door closes. The sun was setting. Orange light cutting across the parking lot. Elvis looked at his mama. She looked back. Entire conversations happening in silence. Years of understanding, trust, love. Let us sleep on it, Gladys said. Fair enough. Neil started toward his car, then stopped. Turned back. One more thing. Whatever you decide, don't stop singing. Don't let fear or doubt or practical concerns kill what you have. The world needs voices like yours, even if you never make a dime from it. He drove away, left Elvis and Gladys standing there, 2 people from Tupelo. Poor, unknown, holding a business card that might mean everything or nothing. They got in their truck, drove home in silence. But it wasn't uncomfortable silence. It was thinking silence, processing silence. The kind that happens when life offers an unexpected door and you're not sure whether to walk through it. That night, Elvis couldn't sleep. Kept thinking about Linda May's words, about Bob Neal's offer, about what might happen if he actually tried to make music more than a hobby, but also kept thinking about practical realities, rent, bills, mama's health, the security of a steady job versus the uncertainty of chasing something impossible. Around 3 a.m, Elvis gave up trying to sleep. He walked to the kitchen, found his mama sitting at the table, cup of coffee gone cold, business card sitting between her hands like evidence. You couldn't sleep either, she said. No, ma'am, sit down. Elvis sat. They didn't speak for a while, just existed together in the quiet. The refrigerator hummed. Somewhere outside, a dog barked twice, then stopped. Finally, Gladys spoke. Your daddy's gonna say no. I know. He's gonna say music's a fool's dream. Gonna say you need security. Steady paycheck, something you can count on. Elvis nodded. And he ain't wrong, Gladys continued. Not completely. This world don't care about dreams. Don't care about talent. Cares about rent money and food on the table. Yes, ma'am. But she looked at him directly. Something I never told you. Before you were born, before your brother, I had a dream too. Elvis waited. Wanted to be a nurse? Had this idea I could help people, make a difference. My mama said the same things your daddy's gonna say. Called it foolish. Said poor girls that don't become nurses. Said I needed to be practical. Did you try anyway? No. Gladys's voice went quiet. I listened. Got married. Had you boys. And I don't regret that. Don't regret you for 1 second. But sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I just tried. Mama, I see that same dream in you, Elvis. That same wanting. And I can't tell you what to do. Can't promise it'll work out. But I also can't watch you give up without even trying. Can't watch you become what I became. Someone who wonders. So you think I should call him? I think you should decide what you can live with. If you try and fail, you'll know you gave it everything. If you don't try, you'll spend your whole life wondering what if. And wondering is worse than failing. Trust me on that. They sat in silence again. Then Elvis asked the question that had been eating at him. What if I embarrass you? What if I get up there and prove that I ain't as good as I think? Then you'll learn something. You'll grow. You'll try again different. But baby, you won't embarrass me. You could never embarrass me. I'm already proud of who you are. Even if I fail, especially if you fail, because failing means you were brave enough to try. Most people never get that far. Elvis felt something shift inside. Not confidence exactly, something steadier. Permission maybe, to want something, to reach for it. I'm scared, he admitted. Good. Gladys reached across the table, took his hand. Fear means it matters. Means you care. Only fools ain't scared of important things. You just can't let fear make your decisions for you. How do I do that? You decide fear can ride in the car, but it don't get to drive. When Vernon woke up a few hours later, they told him together. Presented it as a decision already made, not asking permission, stating fact. Vernon reacted exactly as expected, called it foolish, called it risky, said Elvis was throwing away security for fantasy, said the music business was full of crooks, said 99 out of 100 singers end up broke and forgotten. Gladys let him finish. Then she spoke one sentence. He's doing it anyway. Vernon looked at her, then at Elvis. Saw something in both their faces that made him stop arguing. He didn't agree, didn't approve. But he recognized determination when he saw it. Fine, do what you want. But don't come crying to me when it falls apart. Elvis nodded. Fair enough. 2 days later, he called Bob Neal, voice shaking slightly, trying to sound more confident than he felt. Mr. Neal, this is Elvis Presley, from the fair. Elvis, Neal's voice warmed immediately. I was hoping you'd call. I've been thinking about what you said, about trying, and I want to see what might happen. If you're still interested, absolutely. When can you come to my office? We'll talk details, make a plan. They set a meeting, 3 days out. Elvis wrote the date and time on the back of Neal's business card, put it in his wallet where he'd see it every day. The night before the meeting, Linda May called. Someone had given her Elvis's number. She wanted to check in, make sure he was okay. You doing this thing? She asked. Think so. Meeting with Mr. Neal tomorrow. Good. You remember what I told you about staying yourself? Yes, ma'am. Because they're gonna try to change you. Gonna try to make you sound like everybody else. You hear me? Don't let them. I won't. Promise me, Elvis. I promise. She hung up. Elvis sat holding the phone, thinking about promises, about doors opening, about what happens when you stop wondering and start walking. The next morning, he put on his best clothes, combed his hair carefully, checked his reflection 3 times. Still looked like a truck driver playing dress up. But maybe that was okay. Maybe that was the point. Gladys walked him to the door, straightened his collar, even though it didn't need straightening. "You ready?" she asked. "No," she smiled. "Then you're exactly where you need to be." Elvis walked outside, got in the truck, started the engine, sat there for a moment with his hands on the wheel. Behind him was everything familiar. Ahead was everything unknown. He thought about Linda May's voice in the darkness, about Bob Neal's certainty, about his mama's quiet confession at 3 in the morning, about Vernon's disapproval that might have been fear disguised as practicality. Then he thought about singing, about how it felt when everything else disappeared and only the music remained, about that moment on stage when he'd forgotten to be nervous, about the feeling of doing the one thing he was meant to do. Elvis put the truck in gear, pulled away from the curb, headed toward Bob Neal's office, toward whatever came next. Not because he wasn't scared, because he was scared and going anyway. Linda May Carson kept singing, won another year of competitions, then retired undefeated, started teaching vocal technique to kids who couldn't afford formal lessons. When students asked about her career highlights, she always told them about the night she picked a truck driver from the audience. The night she learned that rules could be broken if you knew which ones mattered. Elvis signed with Bob Neal, recorded at Sun Studio 6 months later. Changed everything just like Linda May predicted. And years afterward, when reporters asked about his breakthrough, he'd mention a singing champion who gave him permission to stop apologizing for being different. 2 people who met by accident, changed each other's understanding of what music could be. That's how legends actually start. Not with grand plans. With someone brave enough to point at a stranger and say, "You, come sing with me."